right, so it's another exciting evening, and good evening to everybody that is tuned in right now, watching this particular broadcast. And of course, you are live on Ubuntu channel, Zambia. Of course, I am your host, Professor Lance, and of course, driving you this evening on Nsaka with Polygamy Part 2. Due to popular demand, we had to bring it back and also bring an exciting guest who is an expert as we get to talk about different issues. So this particular evening, my co-host is Himba. Good evening, Himba. How are you doing?
Good evening, Lance, and good evening, viewers.
All right. So remember that you can be able to send in your comments, your questions, your views via the different platforms that you are watching us on. And of course, we are talking about Facebook, Ubuntu channel, on Twitter as well, Ubuntu channel, and not forgetting on YouTube, it's Ubuntu channel. Make sure that you get to share the link and invite your neighbors, your friends, and your loved ones to say, hey, Pansaka is live this particular evening, and we have to learn a lot this particular evening and get to talk about different issues and different things. In case you are tuning in for the very first time and you have no idea, this is the second time that we are bringing to you polygamy as a topic on Pansaka so that we can accommodate as many people as possible, because we would love you to be a part of the program, and we would love you as well to share with us and get the right information pertaining to this particular topic. Now, without wasting much of the time, let me get to talk to my co-host as we get to introduce a few people that we talked to on the streets right here in Zambia as they talk about the experience they have had, obviously, in a polygamous marriage. So, Himba, we talked to a few people that we discussed with on the advantages and disadvantages of polygamy. Perhaps you can take us through
that. We have two guests who is in a polygamy marriage, or who are in polygamy marriages. I don't want to, if I say polygamy, it sounds nice, like it's a cake. Now, abadi mumpali. Not kwatama guests wabili, aba mumpali. And those guests are going to share their experiences in their marriages, the goodness and how they've taken it. And afterwards, we are going to have our guest tonight to come and this is counselor, Evangelist, Shabula. I'll give you in a short sentence. Please tell us who you are.
Thank you so much, Himba, and all those that are participating in this wonderful program. First of all, I would like to thank you, colleagues, for inviting me to be part of this winning team so that we can help families, help individuals, help nations to be better citizens in their countries and better family members in their families, better wives, better husbands, better children, and better people in the community. I'm very, very excited. I've been a counselor for 32 years, counseling families. I've traveled to 15 countries, helping families, having conferences, conventions. I've had so many weddings that I officiated in 32 years. I'm sure you know it's not a small number. So I've gone over 500 marriages that I've officiated, and I've gone over 900 pairs of marriage of families or marriages that I've counseled. I'm a father of three. My daughters, all girls. Two of them, they are holders of masters, and one is a holder of a degree, and a granddaughter who is also doing law, and That's what I have. I'm a former member of parliament. I'm also called the honorable member of parliament. I was a deputy chairperson in the legal affairs of our Zambian parliamentary committee, and I held different positions. I was a director of the Human Resource Zambia Airways. I was also a station manager in New York JFK International Airport in America. I was also a station manager in London Heathrow Airport and Gatwick Airport. I was station manager of Frankfurt Airport in Germany. I was also a station manager in Di Roma, Italy. I was also a station manager in Saha, that's Saha International Airport, Bombay in India. And I've been to so many countries. If I'm to count, I think I can go to slightly over 30 countries that I've been to. And I'm also a village headman in my village. I'm a farmer. I keep animals. I've got animals. I've got goats. I've got chickens. I've got grandchildren. I've got workers. God has been gracious to me. I'm an evangelist in the SDA church and also an elder and also a friend to so many. So what it is that I find it quite exciting, participating in various programs. I'm also a marriage counselor on Movie TV and also marriage counselor on Radio 4 of ZNBC and also ZNBC TV, TV1. So, and right now, this is a privilege that you have invited me to be here. So, in other words, I'm your servant, a servant of the people, a servant who is here to be used, a servant who does not demand for money because God has assigned me to save mankind. So here I am. Please use me in the way you want. Thank you so much.
Awesome. So such a rich CV, 32 years of marriage counseling.
Can I add something? Professor, or is it Professor? I left out. I was also the executive director for Habitat for Humanity, Zambia. I was the director for Habitat for Humanity, Zambia. And also I was the regional director for Africa and the Far East up to Japan, from Mauritania up to Japan, from Egypt up to South Africa. I was the man in charge. All the national directors were reporting to me. That is the man that is seated before you. Thank you so much.
All right, that is a very rich CV, and obviously maybe trying to dig more about you. 32 years of marriage counseling. How has the journey been like? What are the pros and cons? How easy or hard has it been? Because we know that marriages break on different circumstances, and most of all, the part that dominates is the issue to do with infidelity. How have you been dealing with this counseling for 32 years?
Professor, what I can tell you is that, the field of counseling, marital counsel, is not like being a counselor in law or whatever it is. This is where you, the counselor, you are also learning from the person that you are counseling. And in the end, you find that sometimes it is you who becomes a learner, because there are so many new things that will come out of that particular marriage. And the other thing that we need to understand here is that each marriage is unique, because the people that are in that marriage are also very unique. They are very different from another family that you dealt with or another marriage that you dealt with.
Evangelist, I know you've got a lot for us today on the table. But before we go that much, may I please invite us to have those clips? Just hold that thought before we go any further. I know you've got a lot to tell us, and we've got a lot to learn from you. Over to you, CJ.
pona
sasula
tuleka voto nizanga mutwambira mahenano kuti ndinyo bani
nime Dickson Syanchangana
mukwete mali mukwete bongayo mwe mukwete bobire mukwaniha kuti kubasunga basima kaintu bobire ajindi chomwe
yakwani hasasa muwelira muntu yabakwani ha bandi kwa kulima
okay
basobo ndimirimo byagindi wasije bantu bobira
okay
kandi kwa kulima
ino chimuchindi mane mukaramba wena nemazwangana kuti zabana vakwambana vataya kuzwangana bobiro
pepe kuzwangana kunjita uko tawe kuzwangana pepe nako baluzwangana muzivubweze kwendwa huba nkuku mwehina umutahubite
okay
namara bobo tona yamulija mwehina wataya kusani uwenda kuita
okay
sigalira hafungira mwambia kuti sigalira hafungira mwambia kuti mwana ida kuti kampehanya mwenyu hube iya kwa hevo
okay
uchegwa mwendelani
so kuti vazwangana mbomwe mana nkhondo
mudi mana nkhondo kuti
okay neno kaye kuti wokutewa makaintu kotatu bobiro nga tenga buri hivi yabo kuti suno unkamuganda ya baba neno takuzwa kumwate davona mwaruvira okay
ngoli hawalo
ngamazuva mula chiriri
hakabotuka
okay okay
nao tatu mune ndiyitamebo tatu yona lwane ngangira mwana
okay so ni mwaleta vakaintu vana mbatu vakaintu vausango ni mwavalanga vakalimwa kuti
tawe ndatarika kubambira
okay
kuti mwana
ewa mama mwavuka
tukavuka
kale nizanga mutwambira mahinano ndinye bani
ine Teresa Syakantondo
wetwe mali nacho ndizanga mutwambira bya mwakala myaka yongaye mujiwati mwakwatwaliri mu mali uzwa 1980 usika ino mini mwakala myaka iri 42 amuli mujiwati amuli mu mali nokulanga chindi chimokale chikambo chalampalampa mubotu imbo mungamwapandura kuti nevasa ubotu kuti muchiko kukwatwa mali mbo
ubotu ndi wena kukwatwa mu mali uti nawe labana mekonda Yesu ona mwenzi wandi kwasiriza na apona menda inkauti mwalo musoleta kopatira no vereka so nchibotu cha mu mali
okay ino twamba kuti uende yonse hivoti ndizabona kuti tumubona tutachitika kuti tomunga matupandudza tine mu mali kuti tu problem tulipo tupenzi tuliso
ino mu mali ikapatisi kuambisha kuti nakuli mapenzi auti ngomuzowa watupirira wachita kuti nkambo mebo uzwani ndakakwatwa kusira wachino chete tukalaviyo kabuto
okay nisa mujisima jua kukurwei kuti vavo vatakwetwe mali
mala vavere dekuti avalo kambo twa makaintu vamuvachita kuti ngamba avona kuti vakwata musanga uri kunyema kupanga nkondalo unomvaona kuti noumwe akasika mwe kuti chichaviyo tave chirainda tave ngamakalaviyo kapoto
okay so mukwani havutibya kukhala nyonse nyoviro amusankhomwe mukwani havutibya mwakwani havutinyo
nevobe ndakakwanisa kuzwa ndawatwa ndakakwanisa kukhala kuti katukete tonse toviro akakukwanisa kamo mbolimba akatwambira kuti mubakantu bangu muna mubikato omwe nebo ndinochitaso so kuzvanda inka kubuya mazokoti madezi byo katupete ngapha kuti kumba kuti madezi akatayi mpi unokhala byo kabuto.
Okay. Eno takune mungapawo bya mwazwangana zangana nyovile nyene mo watu nyovile nemwe twe mali.
Kukuzwangana takubuliga ibakatikale bajini matakala.
Welcome back, viewers. That was just a briefly explanation from the people who are in the polygamy marriage. Now, I would love to ask Evangelist Shabula to define the word polygamy, imali, impali, kuchipata nimpali, something like that. I hope I'm saying it correctly. Evangelist, will you please define this word called polygamy?
When you say poly, now we want to speak the Queen's language. When you say poly, you are talking about many. Gammas, you are talking about marriage, many marriages. In other words, we are going to talk about the practice or a custom of having more than one wife. We are talking about a practice or a custom of having more than one wife. In other words, we are talking about a man marrying multiple wives. Sometimes they can be 2, sometimes they 3, and sometimes they can be 1,000. All this in one package, in one word, it is called the polygamy.
Mwamuna umozi vali 1,000. Mukazi umozi vali 1,000. Kange ifniko balance in 50-50. Mwamuna for 1,000, wakazi 1,000. Over to you, Lance.
Now, just there, when you say one man, one woman and many men, you are talking about the polyandry. Polyandry. Polyandry is now the woman marrying more than 2 wives, more than one wife. That is the polyandry. Polygamy is a man marrying many wives. Polyandry is a woman marrying more than one man. Thank you so much.
All right. So polyandry, women or a woman getting married to more than 2 men, and polygamy, a man having more than 2 spouses. That's what polygamy is. Now, quickly, Evangelist, let's get to talk about the effects on women that are in a polygamous marriage. Obviously, there should be side effects that are there.
First of all, we must understand that human beings are possessive beings, meaning that each one would want to have a wife of his own and a husband of her own. Now, when another woman or other women are brought into the marriage, in most cases, the wife that is found in the marriage suffers most, and therefore, in most cases, should be defensive, should want to protect what they've built together with the husband. For example, it can be animals that are there. She would say, we worked for these animals with my husband and my children. If it is chickens, we worked for these chickens with my husband and the children. So they are possessive. And at the same time, they would want to show that they know what is happening out there. Now, some of the things that are there, some of the problems would be jealous. Jealous, especially if the husband does not balance his love among his wives. For example, if the gentleman does not, for example, if the arrangement was he would sleep or spend 3 days in each wife's house, or three nights. And then on the 4th night, when he's supposed to move out of that house, does not move to the next house. Instead, he remains in that house. Then that is a source of problems because he has not kept his promise. That way, he's actually causing a fight between children, between wives. The other one is that, you know, sometimes you find that one lady will be loved more than the other because there's no man who loves his wives equally. No one should say, I love them equally. No. He can only try to be fair. You know, it's the issue of equity. You know, he may try to be fair, but he will never love them equally. So that is also a source of problems. Sometimes you find that when a man is married to 2 wives, the wife that he does not love as much as the other person, even the children suffers. The children of that lady who is loved less, they suffer. Sometimes he will not even be able to pay for their school fees on time because he has got to please the other wife. So that is also a source of problems in that marriage. The other issue is that even the relatives or the parents of that lady who is loved less, they will also suffer. They will not be too welcome in that home, and they will not be assisted as much as the other person. That can also be a problem, you know, in that relationship. The other one is, you know, you have to compete. You know, the speed at which we work and the speed at which we do things may not be the same. But the slower person or the person that is slow will suffer more because she will have to try by all means to catch up with the faster person or the stronger person. So that is also a source of problem in that marriage.
Evangelist,
yes.
If will it also be, maybe say at this point, it also encourages women, like, you know, if you discover that my husband really doesn't love me, and because he has brought in a second wife, which means there's competition among the 2 of us. So definitely the first wife will want to protect their position, and the second wife will want also to fight for the position in that man's heart. Does it also encourage women to start going for minkwala kainge? Kuti banikonde bakonde ine maningi kuchila mzanga. And
yes.
What also makes women to go for such a decision?
Yes, actually, I was coming to that point. The other point, you know, in order to enhance, you know, love, to create more love, or to be loved, to be cared for, or to be concerned that the husband is concerned about the other person, there will be so many things that they will have to do, which will have to please the husband. And one common one, especially in Africa, it's what they call juju, umuti, musamu, muihondo. Now, this is this medicine. It is intended to actually, you know, play on the mind of the husband, so that the husband can tilt in the direction of the person that is not loved, or so that the heart of the gentleman can turn towards her. So now, the danger which is there. No.
Do you blame the women?
We may not blame them. We may not. Yes, we'll blame them, but we may not blame them. You know, when people are competing, when you bring 2 people together, you are actually putting them on the line, on the mark, for them to run to the finishing point. So because they're going to compete, each one would want to take, the lead. So by so doing, they will do anything possible to make sure that they grab you, they get you. So it is you who has caused that. Now, the blame that would put it on the women is that what you should understand is that, when you accepted, especially the second lady, when you accepted to get into this polygamous arrangement or marriage, you accepted to take everything, to compete. And because you accepted to compete, you should compete, fairly, without having to use juju in order to destroy the life of either the other lady who is married in that marriage or the gentleman himself. So you should be prepared to play a fair game of just working hard without having to use the juju or medicine or muhondo. So when you do that, actually you are fighting or you are killing your husband, and in the end, both of you may not have a husband.
Okay, but do you think that it's healthy for two women in this polygamous marriage to compete? Because I think generally marriage shouldn't be a competition, but marriage should be an issue of harmony existing between two people or three people, in this case, talking about a polygamous marriage. So should competition be advised or be advanced in this polygamous marriage?
If you ask me as why some men go into polygamous marriage, I would have brought that answer. I would have answered that one. Because, when people do that, first of all, there should not be any competition. Marriage is not a race. It is not a race. And it is not a journey. It is a life. A life where both people should live together in harmony. Both people should be able to live as individuals at their own pace, in their own way. Mm-hmm. Because we have got different, levels of resistance and levels of power and the levels of tolerance. So if we put people into competition, then the other person may not be able to do the correct thing. In Tonga, we say, kukwerera ntunda. Kukwerera ntunda, it means now the person, instead of doing it at her own time, that person will be forced by circumstances that surround that marriage. Now, it means the person is not herself. She's not living as a wife in the home. She's living as a competitor in that marriage. So we need to be very, very careful.
Evangelist Shabula, you've also mentioned that women, they end up using juju to fight for their position in their competition in that marriage. But then I asked you a question. I said, do we blame the women? And you said, you gave me two answers. You said no and yes at the same time. And you say you further mentioned that women are actually killing your husband. Is it the women who is killing the husband, or it's the husband killing himself who decided to bring or to impose this arrangement among women? When he already had another one, he went for another one. So who puts his life in danger? Is it the women or himself who became greedy to have two at once?
Himba, if we are to take a survey to find out exactly why people marry more than one wife, what will come out of that is as follows. Somebody will say, I married my second wife because of barrenness in my home. There was no child. So I decided to marry another wife so that I could have children. The other one would say, because of miscarriages, each time my wife is pregnant, there would be a miscarriage. So because I could not do anything else, I decided to find somebody who could give me a child. The other one would say, no, it's because of greediness. My wife is a greed wife. People are not given food in the home, even when they visit. So because I love her, I did not want to chase her. So I decided to bring another woman. That could be another reason. Somebody would say, I married my wife because of rudeness. My wife is very rude, but I still love her. So instead of chasing her, I decided to bring in another woman. Another one will say, no, actually, I decided my wife is careless. She's a dirty woman. The house is not swept. The bed is not done. The blankets are not washed. My clothes are not ironed. They're not washed and ironed. So instead of chasing her, I've got children with her. I decided to find another woman. Another one will say, I brought in another woman because my wife is lazy. Every year we are the hungriest in this village, and we've earned ourselves a bad name. So to run away from that, I decided to remarry, to bring somebody else. Another one will say, it is because my wife does not welcome visitors and does not like my relatives. But because of the children that we have in our marriage, I did not want to chase her. So I decided to bring another one so that we could live together. The other one will say, no, actually, I brought this lady, there's another one, because there are too many jobs to be done here, a lot of work. In other words, I brought her here for the purpose of farming, for the purpose of cultivating the land. In other words, she came in, others will say, like a worker. Instead of paying other workers in the place, this man decided to marry. So in other words, each one of these people who have married Himba, they've married, they had their own reasons. These reasons to some, you go ahead.
What about Evangelist? What about those men who are living in the city where you don't have to go to the field, you don't have to draw water, you don't have to go and fetch water? So if he's saying my wife is lazy, my wife is, if he's saying my wife is lazy, or because we need to go to the field, what about those in the city? What reasons do they have? One. And then secondly, if a woman is having all those shortcomings, are you trying to tell me that these men, there are no other alternative they have apart from getting a second wife?
You have asked me two questions there. First of all, the men in the city who have got more than one wife. Now, the men in the city who have got more than one wife may have also different reasons. Number one, because of the economic factors. And one looks at his salary and they see that what they are earning is little. They may want to increase their earnings by marrying another lady, either who is working or is in business. If you check, most of them, in most cases, they marry women who are in business or who are working so that they can increase on their income. Number two, it could be some of these reasons that I've put already. Maybe there is barrenness in the family, in the marriage, maybe miscarriage or greedy, or just the woman is disrespectful. She does not respect the husband, but the gentleman loves the wife. Instead of divorcing the wife and then the children suffer, he would want to keep this wife. Or sometimes he would want to marry another lady so that some of those problems can go. We are talking about it being dirty. Even in town, we have got dirty women who do not know how to sweep. They don't know how to clean. They don't know. Some of them find the windows have never been cleaned, for more than 10 years. Some of them will go in their bedrooms. The bed has not even been changed. It is one position. All the bed just faces Monze, the direction of Monze or Namara. instead of at one time let the bed face another direction and clean the whole place. Yes.
Evangelist, you are saying women in the city, you're going to find this woman doesn't clean. The windows are never cleaned. But let's not forget that in other marriages, a man would still want this woman to bring in finances. A man would still want this woman to help him to pay the bills in the house. So if I'm bringing in finances in the house, I think we should be able to meet each other 50-50. Because if he's saying, I go out to work, apparently now most of women are career women. So they have to go out, they bring in money and they help in the house financially. Why is it that I should bring in money when my husband can't help me to do his house chores, or we can't meet each other 50-50? Does it mean if I'm lacking somewhere, he has to go and look for the third, fifth wife?
Well, what we must understand here, Himba, is that, it is not always the fault of the women. It is also the fault of some men, what I would call greedy for more women. It is greedy. In Tonga. They want to have more women. Sometimes they may not even have the resources to keep those women happy or together. Sometimes you find that they not even a house of their own or houses of their own where they're going to keep these women, but they will depend on what I would call rented houses. So sometimes it is the fault of the gentleman. Some men are just greedy. But now the issue of this man supporting you and helping you, this is a new culture. What you are saying, Himba. I want to be a bit traditional. I also want to get into the Western world and also get into the Bible. But what we must understand here is that each one of us has got roles. Traditionally, each one of us has got roles. There are roles for the husband and there are roles for the wife. And the wife is expected to perform her roles. And the husband is also expected to perform his roles. So there should not be controversy because each one has got his or her own lane. You walk in your lane, I walk in my lane. At the end, we meet, and be able to say, it was a great day, we've achieved this and that. At the same place, at the same time, I should be able to say this, that even as we have these roles, there are certain roles that I would call, they are a common denominator. In mathematics, we say a denominator or a subset or a set of this. Certain jobs that we do, or functions or roles that we have in the marriages, they also take us to, in the area of the woman or the wife that we live with, we also need to help them so that they can be able to attend to certain issues of the family. So, for example, if a person is a career woman, let me take an example of you are married to a police officer or a soldier, a person who is going to stand for longer hours in doing her work so that she can bring food. A man must be considerate. He must be able to understand that he needs help so that this lady can rest. There are no qualms in anybody deciding to help wash plates or cook, because you are cooking for your children, you are washing for your children and for your family. So there are certain roles that, especially in the modern world, we must understand that our friends are career wives. For example, a doctor, a nurse, a teacher, and other roles. So we need to move in and be able to help them.
Evangelist,
yes.
As we talk about this issue of polygamy, and I think society has taken more concentration on the wife and the husband. But there's one group which has been forsaken, which we really don't think about it. What effect does this kind of marriage has on the children? Because they are part of that family. And when this man brings in the second wife, and the children are now taught, you've got two mothers. Badani bamayo mwaiche bamayo nakulya nkuli bano ko kabye nkolide mwendeko kolide kuli bamayi bano kuja mukazi bapasa ulemu. So what effects does it have, and do these men think in terms of the children as well when they are bringing in the third wife or the fifth wife?
Himba, and I'm sure some of you and those that are with us on this channel, we must understand that most of us have come from polygamous marriages, and we know exactly what was involved in those marriages. First of all, discipline in the home begins with the father. It depends how the father coordinates his activities in that marriage. For the children to be affected negatively, it depends on how careless the father has been in handling either discipline or in giving instructions or favoring one side. Now, if one side is favored, you find that the children of the woman that is not favored will also suffer negatively. If that woman is loved, even the children will be loved. So these are some of the problems that will come in. But in most cases, let me give an example. In places like Southern Province, I must say that it is not in Southern Province where you find, polygamous marriages. In Northern Province, there's what they call impali. So that is a Bemba word, meaning that having more than one wife. Then in Eastern Province, they say mpali, which means also they've got impali there. In Southern Province, we call mali. In Northwestern Province, they say uhali, meaning that, more than one wife. In all places, in the Arabs and many other religions, including America, where it is not allowed, they've got certain sectors of people there who have got more than one wife. So the issue here is that everything, Himba, depends on the head of the family, how he handles issues. But I want you to understand that I am not promoting polygamous marriages. I'm not. I'm merely explaining how life is there.
Evangelist,
Yes.
Research have shown that most of the children that come from these polygamous marriages, they suffer mental health, they've got social problems. They also underperform academically. And most of the times, these children, they struggle to survive in society. Just on that one, over to you, Lance, before we get back to the evangelist.
Okay.
All right. So, of course, before the evangelist comes through and come in, obviously, to answer that question, remember that you can still get in touch with us via our comments box, which is on Facebook, on Twitter, and also on YouTube. Make sure that you get to send us your questions, send us your contributions, and also get to share the link with your friends so that we might be able to spread this message wide and far right there. So we get to go on a very short break, and then when we come back, we get to read your comments, which you have been sending through, and then also we get different reactions via people that are joining on this particular platform. So it's let's take a short break, and then when we come back, we continue with the program.
Welcome back, viewers. Welcome back, viewers, and hope we are enjoying and we are learning from the evangelist. Over to you, Lance.
All right. So, of course, we can start receiving your comments and your views. You can ask your questions. You can call us and come in, share your ideas with us. And also, if you have a burning question, make sure that you get to ask um, Evangelist Shabula. So, this is Chucky Lewis Shabs says, greetings, Honorable Shabula. All right. Thank you so much for that. That's on Facebook. Then on YouTube, obviously, Kara says, good evening, Ubuntu family. Good evening to you too. Good to know that you are watching. So Lewis comes back and says, I'm watching from Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur. All right. Thank you so much. Then Kelvin Chanda says, watching from Australia. Thank you so much for finding time to be a part of us. Caroline says, a lot to learn. All right, thank you so much, and we would love to hear your thought as well. Pacey says, interesting. Thank you, Pacey, and we appreciate and value all your contributions. Caroline, greetings, Honorable Shabula. All right, thank you so much for that. Pacey says, I'm watching from UK. Big ups to you, Pacey, and continue spreading the word. Dr. Tommy says, great show, Himba and Lance. Thank you so much, Dr. Tommy. We appreciate also you watching. Emmanuel M. Lunga says he is watching. Thank you so much. Also, tell us where you are watching us from so that we can know. All right, so from Zambia. All right, good evening to you. And to know that Zambia is tuned in. Betha says, Lewis Shabs, I'm watching from Zambia. All right, Betha, thank you so much. And continue watching, continue the support. We really appreciate. And without you, we can't be here. Watching from DK, this is Angelina. Thank you, Angelina, also for taking time to come through and watch. Remember, you can come in and send your comments and your contributions as well. Dr. Tommy says, what is in the biblical stance on polymarriage, both to man and more, both to man with more wives and women with more men? Evangelist, how did the Bible depart from the Old Testament to our times? Hoping, Evangelist, you are taking note of that question. That one is coming to you. So Tommy says, what is, okay, if we can get back to that, what is in the biblical stance on polymarriage, both to men with more wives and women with more men? Evangelist, how did the Bible depart from the Old Testament to our times? All right, so take a note and the evangelist will be able to answer. Frederick Perry says, I'm watching from Zambia, Charleston. Thank you so much, Frederick. Good to know that you are here to support us. Angelina says, but why marrying them, Evangelist Shabula, if you can't love them equally? So Evangelist, take note of that question as well. And then Jonathan says, interesting topic. I am following. Thank you so much, Jonathan, for following the topic, and hopefully we can hear from you your perspective. Kelvin says, what true remedy do these powerful men use to satisfy 3 or 4 women? Please open and tell us. Definitely, Evangelist, you have to open up because like you have seen, we have put a disclaimer to say this program is not suitable for persons younger than 18. So Evangelist, open up and share with everybody, including with Kelvin, what powerful charms or remedy these people use to satisfy 4 or 5 or 3 women from there. All right. All right. So Freehead, I think I'm trying to pronounce that right. Says, good evening, watching you from DK. Keep the fire burning, educating the public. Thank you so much, and really appreciate your support. Angelina comes back and says, have a question. Is it wrong for us women to marry more than 2 men? Kylie, in gender equality. All right. Thank you so much, Angelina. Obviously, you are not talking about polyandry, but the evangelist will be able to answer that one. Continue sending us your messages. Kelvin says, Evangelist, what of the women that ask the husband to get another woman? All right, this is a very interesting question, which the evangelist will be attending to as well. Thank you for the overwhelming support and response which is coming through. Percy says, "You people are making me laugh." Okay. Well, it's not about making you laugh, but I think we want each and everyone to understand what polygamy is. Then Angelina comes back and says, Evangelist, what about men? Do they need to clean too? All right, I think he answered this one. I think my colleague Himba asked this one. If not, then the evangelist will be able to answer that one as well. And then we get to move to another one. All right, so continue sending us your messages, continue supporting us. Remember, Ubuntu is for you. I am because we are. This is what we are. So the bed facing Monze, Pacey. All right, so I'm sure Pacey is reacting to what Evangelist said. Mukazi bed 3 years, sea change, position is still the same. All right, Angelina comes back and says, me, I want to be vanachimbusa for young women because as women twaba ngumunga, okay, twaba ngumunga wefwafwa fyonse at women imwe. Okay, yeah, I get the concern there. All right, so Himba, so much response coming through and great support coming through from different people. The topic is really overwhelming. Kindly unmute your mic. We can't hear you.
Thank you. Sorry, Lance. And it's really interesting. And I hope our main interest is to educate the masses and at least bring change to our society and have health families. As much as we can say, Lancy, can we bring Nachisengo at the moment? I think she's got a brilliant idea we should want to share with the public as well.
All right. So, Nyasengo, hi, good evening.
Hello, good evening, everybody. Good evening, Evangelist. Sorry, I forgot the name. I wrote it somewhere. What
good
a brilliant
evening. Thank you.
Yes, what a brilliant, oh my gosh, and unbelievable. The education that you have, first of all, is what I'm going to talk about. It's just amazing. You are so fascinating to listen to. You've got so much brilliant, you bring so much to this channel today. And just the man you are just amazes me. And this is the first time I'm learning, I'm meeting you for sure. And just you've already taught me a lot. Having said that, I have a couple of things to ask you. And the way I look at a polygamous marriage. First of all, as a woman, when I'm getting married, I go through a lot. Vana Chimbusa, as one of the ladies says, sits with you and teaches you things that you need to do in order to make sure that your marriage lasts forever, as the Bible says, right? I'm hopefully going to be a woman of Psalm 31. As you know, I'm supposed to be a noble woman who does all these amazing things for my husband. But like you said, you touched on a couple of things where you said, maybe one day my husband will come home and find that the bed is not made. Okay, because the bed is not made, I'm changing my mind. I'm going to go and bring a second woman. Or because you cooked kalembula the way my mom, different from the way my mom cooked, I'm going to go and marry a person who speaks the same language as my mom. Well, if you don't love me, then get rid of me. Then you're going to bring another woman. Because there isn't any love there. Like you alluded to earlier on, there is nobody who's going to love two people. Now, my question is, are these men greedy? Are they marrying because they're greedy? They don't want other men to take away this other beautiful woman that they've seen on the street. Or like you said, selling on the market, she's going to bring in more income than the wife that I already have, who's a secretary? Or are they trying to compete with the other women in the villages? Because when we look at most of the people that are in these polygamous marriages, who are participating in polygamy, whatever you may call it, most of them are so poor You never believe it. Like you're going, why are you even bringing another person in this marriage? We're all just going to die of hunger. Another thing is, so I don't think they marry for love. When you get married, we vow to God before God that we're gonna live in this marriage forever. And the Bible doesn't say then, if your wife doesn't make the bed, you need to go and bring in another woman. So are you telling me that the man himself is lazy? He can't make the bed? The man can't iron his shirt? The man can't clean the house? We can't share everything in the house? Excuse me. That's something that I don't understand. But to be honest with you, I'd like you to, maybe to shed more light to what I've asked. Thank you so much. Unbelievable profile you have. Which continent have you not lived on? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Natsengo, and thank you so much, viewers, for all those brilliant questions. I'm sure the evangelist was taking note of those questions and contribution. Evangelist, over to you. Aba ume meeting shiba bomfya ukusunga aba nakashibabiri babiri double tovera akwani shashani.
Thank you so much, Himba. And I would like to appreciate each one of them that asked questions. I would want to be very, very open here. And I'm sure those that have watched me many times, they know that I don't miss words. But I'll try to be careful so that I keep our decorum on this forum. Number one, these men, first of all, in our villages, I told you that I lived in India. In India, India is one country that has got a lot of those drugs or chemicals that are used in sex or in having sex. And Africa, they've got roots. They've got barks of trees. They've got leaves of trees, and they've got certain animals that they use also so that they can enhance their sexual performance in their marriages, so that the 10 women will not complain. They use those drugs, in fact, against their health. In short, indeed, they use those drugs so that they can be able to perform. But I want to point out to many of you as young people, those drugs are not very good. They're not good for any of them. That's why, most cases, you'll find that most of them, they do have problems of urinating. When they get to the age of 50 years, they will have problems. The urine or the erection of the penis will not be hard, and the urine will not go a full distance. They will weave just around their thighs, somewhere there. It's because of the strong chemicals that they've used, and meaning that they are not good for their health. They also cause some heart problems. They also cause some kidney problems. Certain chemicals, the kidneys cannot be able to function properly. But all the same, I must admit that that is a lot of them. That's what they use, many of them, so that their wives can be satisfied. I'm talking about Africa and many of these places that I've been to. I know that is what they do.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Evangelist. Lance, I think we have somebody who'd love to come in. Over to you.
All right. So obviously, I think we have Liabo there that wants to come in as well and ask a question to the evangelist. So Liabo, when you're ready, you can come through. But as we are waiting for Liabo, Evangelist, I think there's one question that Nyachisengu asked, which you haven't responded to. If this man feels that the woman, because she's taught by Vanabukombe and the other elderlies in the families of how to keep a house, and obviously when she gets into the marriage and then the man gives an excuse to say that I am getting a second wife because you haven't cooked at the same way that my mother used to cook it, then therefore why not get rid of her than getting a second wife in her face? It means that you no longer love her. Is that the case?
Thank you, Nyatsengu. I'm grateful. You are such a wonderful person. I'm so grateful for your kind words. But what I want to say is that a lot of us as Africans, our marriages are protected. They are fenced. They are ring fenced. And one of the things that we are taught is not to divorce. And instead of divorcing, when there's a problem, you are taught just bring another woman. Because when you divorce her, the children will suffer. And when the children suffer, then your name will be brought into public ridicule. So the best thing that you can do is actually to get a second wife. Hello.
All right, yeah. So
hello.
Hold your thought there. We have we have Liao to also bring in her perspective, or probably ask you a question. Liao, hi, good evening. Kindly unmute your mic. Hi, Liao. Unmute your mic.
Good evening, Liao.
Okay, so we seem to have a problem with Liao there. Evangelist, you can go ahead, continue. Okay, so we have Wallace Mioba right there. So Mioba, Wallace, hi, good evening. You can make your comment or contribution.
Hello, can you hear me there?
Definitely, we can hear.
Yes, I can.
Yeah, thank you very much. Like other speakers alluded, Evangelist, well done. I think we have learned quite a few things really from your speeches that we didn't know. And I know before I ask you a question, I know some of us, we came from our forefather who were in polygamist, but in those days, it was due to wealth and maybe a lot of work that they were sympathizing with the first wife. But it was that situation, and then they had to agree with the first wife to make sure that they were supported psychologically. But I don't know of late, at this moment, people who are still actually polygamists. So what are the motivation to get a second wife? And what are they doing to support the emotion and psychological defeat of the first wife? As far as the wife who stayed there, as far as we're concerned, there is that defeat in a defeat to say, what have I done that my husband has decided to go and look for another second woman, that I have failed to perform, I have failed to give him. That always is there in the first wife, even if she does not actually show it. But then I just wanted to find out your reaction on that one.
Before you go, Wallens, will your wife allow you to get a second wife?
I don't think personally I'm strong enough for that person, because I cannot give 50-50 love. And as far as I'm concerned, because I'm a Christian, I read the Bible, which tells me to say, one wife, one woman, and 100% love with each other. So I don't think to divide the relationship or to divide the love would be something that I would be managing. So I cannot manage really to give 50-50 to two women. I'll be biased. So for that reason, I would stick to one woman.
But will your wife allow you?
My wife, I don't think my wife is something that we can go to discuss with her, because I think in the first place, even when I looked, for my wife, we talked about it. It's one wife, one woman. I don't think my wife would actually smile on that. I'll have a slap.
Oh, thank you so much, Mr. Mioba. Over to you, Lance.
All right. So definitely, that is an exciting contribution coming through right there from Mioba, and of course, a very important question asked to our guest. In case you have just tuned in, or you have just started watching, we are talking to Evangelist Shabula, who is our guest today, Nsaka on Ubuntu channel. We are discussing polygamy. Hi, Laura. Good evening. How are you doing? Laura, kindly unmute
Hi,
your
Lance.
mic. Hi, good evening.
Thank you. I'm all right. Thank you. How are you?
So I am fine. You can go ahead with your contribution. Okay. Okay.
Sorry, I'm not ready to make a contribution yet. I'm still following and just catching up a bit. So just continue talking. I'll let you know when I'm ready.
Okay, now we can get you.
Thank you so much, Rola. I think we go back to Lancy, and then we go back to Evangelist.
Yeah, I think we can get to the Evangelist, Evangelist Shabula. I think we can get to you so that you can be able to answer the question that came through from Miola right there.
Yeah, I'll go straight to answer that question. Mr. Mioba, I'm so grateful, my brother, for that question. What it is, dear friends, many, many years in those old days, it was a rule that if one wants to get married, or wants to bring in a second wife, or third or fourth, before that lady is brought into the home, you need to prepare the mind of the lady. In other words, it must be discussed with the lady or the wife that you have in the home to prepare her psychologically. And two, because she's going to be the teacher to the lady that is going to come in that home, she's the one who is going to orient her in the things that are done at that home, the do's and the don'ts. In most cases, it is not, the husband will not do a lot of things. He will just give the basics, but the detailed activity or program will be given by the wife that is found in the home. She will be treated as the captain in the marriage. So no woman will be brought in the home without discussing with the first wife or the wives that are found in that home. That was the respect that was given to the wife or to the wives that were found in the home. Now, Wallace, these men in our cities and towns, most of them, they do not discuss with their wives about their intentions. In most cases, for example, for us who live in Zambia, you find that the man lives in a Chilenje township, but is going to marry in Matero without telling the wife. Sometimes you have children there, and the wife at home does not know. All he sees is that the man is absent from home and just, giving excuses that probably it is at work or he has got to go out of town. In the meantime, he's in the next township. By the time the lady realizes that the husband is married, sometimes there will be 3 children or 2 children born. Now, those are the issues that bring problems in our towns, in the marriages, in our cities, because matters are not discussed. Now, what does it mean? It means that the wife at home, as Wallace put it, she will feel defeated. She will feel that she has failed her marriage. She is not able to do this, or maybe she will, in other words, she will begin wondering as to why she has been left, and that why the husband has gone out for another woman, because she has not been told as the reason why the husband has decided to find somebody else. So matters of this nature, traditionally, they are supposed to be discussed. And the wife, in most cases, is supposed to agree. She should agree. Now, there are certain times when she may not agree, but sometimes she will pretend that she has agreed, even when she does not. You know, dear friends, it pains for a competitor to be brought in your home, and then you are told this is the person you are going to live with. Even if the gentleman tells you you are briefed, it always pains. There's nobody who can say, no, it doesn't pain, there's nothing, it's okay. It's not okay. It's like, what can I do? The gentleman has decided already, so let me just fit into this shoe, so if I'm to walk comfortably. So that's what it is. So in other words, it is a bad indication to the lady that another woman has come. It is defeat. But how do you ameliorate that? It is by actually sitting and discussing with the wife that is at home, and also setting boundaries or putting rules which will protect their homes, their marriages, and also ensure that their security is not compromised, their safety is not compromised, their joy is not compromised. Also, the independence and the happiness and the liberties of the children that are in the home or in that family are not going to be lost as a result of this person that has come. Then that way, even when you tell the children to be able to respect the new mother who has come in the home, they will be able to respect her, because you have also respected your children. In other words, the children also should be involved. They must know that there will be a visitor, there will be a new person that is going to be added to the family. And how they are going to live in the family, it must be well defined, so that the children know exactly how life will be in that new arrangement. When this is not done, it creates a lot of problems. I want to re-emphasize that I'm not promoting polygamous marriage. In fact, I'm against it. But those who are in it, we should be able to help them, because it is part of our custom which will not run away. For example, let me give you, according to now I'll talk as a honorable member. As a honorable member. In Zambia, we've got a law, we've got 2 laws that support marriage. There's a law that supports what is called the statutory marriage. The statutory marriage is the marriage that where you go to the Boma or you go to court, the High Court. They give you a document called a marriage certificate from the High Court. That certificate does not allow you to get a second wife or a third wife, or else you'll be in troubles with the law. Now, we must understand the same law, the same country, Zambia, as a Christian nation. In a Christian nation, there is a law which allows the customary marriage. That's why I've got the freedom here to talk about this. It talks about the customary marriage. What is customary marriage? Customary marriage is the marriage of our ancestors, how they married, the things that they followed, the rules they followed in marrying. So this also in Zambia is allowed. One can be married under the customary law and or can be married under the statutory marriage. So these two are allowed. So that is why I'm able to discuss this.
Okay, Evangelist,
Okay.
thank you so much for that rich information. And just to add on what you've said, as much as we are going to condemn this polygamist marriage, it's still our culture. It's something that we have to embrace. And as it has already been stated, we strongly feel there are things which happened in the past and they worked well in the past. And because our forefathers, they knew how they would embrace this. They had their own reasons. But in nowadays, I think it has become, there's a lot of mixed degree. Some men are marrying the second wife, maybe because of their culture, as the evangelists have mentioned. They are marrying because of various reasons. But some, they are marrying because of just being selfish and because they feel they are in control. They can make decisions and they don't even incorporate children. Some, they'll even say, these are just children. I'm not going to ask them. You forget that those are your children and they're whatever decision you're making, it's affecting their lives. You even become greedy that you don't even tell your wife, the first wife. And by not telling your wife, what you are simply doing to your wife, you are reducing her lifespan. How are you going to reduce her lifespan? One, she's going to be depressed. Whether you like it or not, very few women would accept the idea of having a second wife without knowing, actually, this woman being imposed on you. Because in the past, they used to negotiate until the woman, mentally, psychologically, she's prepared. But now, this is somebody who's just imposed on you, which means the first wife is not even prepared psychologically, mentally. Eventually, she'll go into a depression. There will be anxiety in your first wife. There will be she's going to be stubborn. There'll be hostility in the whole thing, which means there won't be peace. That will be a problematic family. There'll be problems in that family that it will be just, I don't know. And apart from that, there will be a lot of psychological effects on everyone in that house. And then the man at the end of the day, you become stressed. Over to you, Lance. Can we read the comments on Facebook and then we conclude?
Definitely. Let's get into the last batch of messages that have come through via our socials. So Carol says, why must be material things to have two? Why must it be? I'm sure that's what I was trying to say. Why must it be material things to have two wives? And why men don't tell the first wife that he will have 3 or 4 wives in the future? All right, thank you so much, Carol. We can go to the next one. Jonathan says, what is the moral basis upon which one decides to stay in a monogamous or polygamous marriage? All right, thank you so much, Jonathan, for that question. We can move quickly to the other one. Hugo Lee says, what do you have to say about a wife who is insecure and always go to her husband's cell phone? Okay, issues of cell phones. Thank you so much, Hugo. Let's get to see the other message that we have right here. Remember, you can keep on getting in touch with us via our comments. Carolina says, my question is it always supposed to be that wives live in the same house or can have separate homes to avoid the issue of jealousy? All right, well taken note of, Caroline, thank you so much. Then Freeherd says, should women also be allowed to bring in the second husband? All right, I think that one I can answer. That will be polyandry and not polygamy. So Angelina says, but us women, we see handsome men too. Whoa, okay. Interesting. And Freehead comes and says, what makes men want to have more than one wife? Is it about identity, lack of sexual satisfaction, or economic contribution. Nangu is ubuloshi or rituals. Okay, we can get to see another one as we are winding up the program. This one says, as you discuss this issue, please also refer to our African way of life, African tradition. I'm of the view that religion in Africa is a scam and has brainwashed many to the point where if they need to think, they need to refer to something. How can we as Africans separate religion from our culture? Okay, very interesting. We can get to see another one. Another message. Of course, this is to Jonathan. Carol says, why do sugar daddies leave their sugar mummies and marry second young wife half his age? Okay. All right, we can maybe read the last three and then get our guest to respond. Is divorce a sin? Angelina. All right, so Evangelist, take note of that. She comes back and says, don't you think in-laws contribute to polygamy too, especially to the men's family? All right, the last one, I guess. Miova says, men, remember that Viagra causes prostate cancer. Stop using it. One woman rather, is enough for a healthy man. All right, so thank you so much for the overwhelming response that we have today. We can't read all the messages, but do take note that we'll still get to read them in the background and get to give you feedback like that. So before we let you go, Evangelist, two questions that you have to take care of. One, which came through in this second batch of questions to say, is divorce a sin? And then the other one, I think you didn't attend to it. It was in the first batch, which asked to say, I think it spoke of religion, but I'll maybe rephrase it like this. In the Bible, Old Testament, it supports the issue of polygamous marriage, where we saw the likes of Solomon and all these other men of God or people that were in the favor of God involving themselves in a polygamous marriage. And then when you come to the New Testament, we get to see one of the qualifications for one to be an elder or a leader in the church. It speaks of one wife is enough for somebody. That is one of the qualifications for one to be a leader in the church. So attend to these two questions and then we can call it a day.
I want to start with the many women. We must understand that, first of all, indeed, we've got our custom and our tradition, or our way of life as Africans. Now, when we come back into the Bible, the first person that got into polygamous arrangement was Lamech. From the family of Adam. Now, you can read that in Genesis chapter 4, verse 19. Lamech was the first person who married two women. But that marriage had also problems. The other one, we can learn from the marriage of Elkanah and Hannah. Elkanah was the husband. He had Hannah and he had Penina. The problem that they had there was that Hannah did not have children in that marriage, and while Penina had children. And because of that, it became a spark. There were problems, and Hannah suffered. You can read that in the book of 1 Samuel chapter 4. The other one who had a polygamous arrangement was Abraham. Abraham had Sarah and had Hagar. And the problem is that Sarah did not have a child. And Hagar produced the Ishmael. So there was a problem in there. You can find that in Genesis chapter 16. And God told Abraham to put away the second wife, who was a concubine or a maid, that is Hagar. He told her to go away and live together with the son Ishmael. But he told him, get part of your wealth and give it to Ishmael, your son. And the other one is Jacob. Jacob, we had Rachel and Leah. And Rachel had a problem of not having children, though he was loved much by the husband Jacob. So there was a problem of children. And so this marriage had also suffered a lot of problems. It was a polygamous marriage. We've got Solomon. You know, Solomon had the 700 women, 3,000 concubines. It would take 3 years, 3 months, and 3 weeks, and 3 days, and 3 hours, and 3 minutes, and 3 seconds for Solomon to get to the next wife. You can do some mathematics there. Then the other one that we had is the days of Noah. In Genesis chapter 6, you find that when people multiplied, the number grew. The Bible says men of this earth began marrying the children of Israel. That is the children of Seth, coming from a family of Christians. They married the men of the earth. That is, the children of Cain. So it's this problem that came into being. So here we see, what do we see here? There's no goodness, there's no advantages of any marriage in this. In any of these marriages, there was no happy marriage. Starting from Lamech, starting from Elkanah, Abraham, Jacob, Solomon, and the days of Noah, the marriages were not happy because of what they went through. And then from there, you come to the New Testament. The Old Testament, you read 2 Timothy chapter 3. It talks of if one is to be an elder of the church or a deacon, he must be a man of one wife. One wife. You read 1 Corinthians chapter 7. The Bible talks of one wife. It talks of one husband. So these verses, they indicate that according to God's purpose, God has designed a marriage to give it to one man, so that one man can live with one woman in the happiness of their society, doing things together, planning together, having children together, training the children together. So that is the purpose of God. The purpose of God is not multiple marriages. The purpose of God is not a man or a woman to have more men, polyandry. That's not the purpose of man. But all these things that we have, they were designed by men. As we began to improve our lives, we think, if I can have a wife there, a lady there, my life will be better. Some of them, they get into this because of pressure at home, in their homes. Because of pressure, people would want to have other girlfriends. Yes, sir. Yes, Lance.
All right.
Professor, go ahead.
We would definitely, we would love to keep you longer, but unfortunately, time is not our best allies. And definitely, goodbyes are such sweet sorrows. We have to let you go. Thank you so much for being part of the program.
Thank you so much. I would like to appreciate all of you, and also just want to thank among the people that greeted me there. I saw Lewis Choki together with their husband Uche. I just want to appreciate them and appreciate everyone, including those who did not have the time to talk to me. Thank you so much. God bless us.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much. This is where we have to call it quit for this particular episode of Pansaka this week. And of course, we appreciate and say thank you so much for the amazing support and for the amazing, overwhelming response that you have given us today. This definitely tells us to say, hey, keep up with the energy and do more. Obviously, keep it locked to Ubuntu channel as we continue giving you exciting editions of different programs as we also continue to educate, inform, motivate, and also just be able to give one another that which is required. Himba, thank you so much for being also an amazing co-host, and we look forward to having another program. God willing, we'll be back on Saturday with another exciting edition. Good evening and stay blessed.
Finished.
Just a moment, Danny.